I think we can agree that Batman Arkham Knight is best played on PC, maxed out graphics, uncapped frame rates, and even getting regular updates from the modding community that adds replayability and a bit more life to the game. This version of Arkham Knight is universally loved, it runs well on modern hardware, and looks insanely good for a game that came out 10 years ago. But at launch, this game's reception was a completely different story, and today we're going to be exploring Arkham Knight's Disastrous PC port. It was 2015. Fans of the Batman Arkham franchise were super hyped for an upcoming game on the next generation of consoles. Fans were especially hyped to finally see a post-Joker death Gotham and what the aftermath of Arkham City would be. People were excited for the hyper-realistic graphics and finally getting to use the Batmobile, which apparently was meant to feature as a playable vehicle as far back as Batman Arkham Asylum before it was cut. This was at the time Rocksteady's last Batman Arkham game, and after releasing Arkham Asylum and City, people had high expectations. We even had the introduction of a new villain, the Arkham Knight, whose identity may or may not have been obvious to some people, but he still was a cool threat to Batman, having someone who could go toe to toe with. Rocksteady, a team known for their polish and quality, would not actually work on the PC port for their apparent final entry, handing it off to another studio. Iron Galaxy, a small development studio based in Chicago, was founded in 2008. Although developing their own games such as Racketeer for the Xbox 360 Kinect and the wrestler-themed Battle Royale Rumbleverse, Iron Galaxy would be more known, or more infamously known, for their PC ports of Uncharted and The Last of Us Part 1. Surprisingly, Iron Galaxy had already been involved with the Batman Arkham franchise before Arkham Knight, as in 2013, Iron Galaxy would work on the Batman Arkham Origins Windows port of the game that was definitely much buggier than the console release, and to this day still some bugs have not been resolved. As Warner Bros. Montreal stated, the issues that are not progress blockers will unfortunately no longer be addressed. When Warner Bros. Needed a development team in order to port Arkham Knight to the PC, they obviously went with Iron Galaxy, as they already had worked with them previously. The only issue was apparently Iron Galaxy was barely given any time to work on the PC port, with some claiming that they only had a couple of months to develop the PC port, but there's nowhere that properly confirms this. The only information I can confirm is that Iron Galaxy Studio only had 12 people working on the game, which seems pretty low for a porting development studio, comparing this to other studios like Nexus Software. Whether it be the lack of development time or not enough hands to get the work done, this led to a bunch of issues which could not be resolved in time. Warner Bros. Studios decided that they wouldn't delay the PC port and that they would release it the same day as console, although the PC port was nowhere near the state that the console versions were in. Iron Galaxy, while not completely innocent, definitely can't be blamed for their failure. It seemed like they took on a task too big for them, and Warner Bros. Should have given the port to be developed by a bigger team that would be able to handle the crunch, but they probably wanted to cut costs, hoping with Iron Galaxy's experience with the previous game would be enough. However, any criticism Warner Bros. Might have faced for delaying the PC port would have been a minor inconvenience compared to the firestorm of backlash they actually received for releasing it in such a broken state. June 23rd, 2015 came round, and Batman Arkham fans that played it on PC went through all of the emotions: excitement, nervousness, disappointment, anger, and frustration when booting up the game on launch day to realise that the game that they had waited 4 years to release after leaving many questions in Arkham City, Arkham Knight, was nowhere near the polish that the previous Arkham games had. Many Steam users flooded to the game's review section to voice their frustration. A YouTuber named Rock Paper Shotgun commented that the combat is fun and responsive, the gliding is great and the game looks okay, AF is set to 4 by default, default, which makes some textures look awful. That's the good parts. The bad parts are the frame rate issues, which are all over the place, and the Batmobile. The game will frequently pause or dip to sub 10 FPS on a GTX 970 when entering or approaching new areas. Cutscenes have similar issues to Witcher 3 in that while in-engine they run at less FPS than the normal game, making them stutter or appear stilted. Summoning the Batmobile causes major frame rate drops. At one point, I summoned the car to try the Batmobile takedown move, but by the time the frame rate recovered, the Batmobile had crushed the pack of guys I was fighting, including the Riddler henchman that I wanted to interrogate. He even provided evidence on a YouTube video where we can see how poorly the game ran, even on his GTX 970, which at the time was far superior than the minimum required GPU, the GTX 660, and the recommended GPU, the GTX 760. Another YouTuber, Idiotech, had similar early impressions to Rock Paper Shotguns, commenting that, PSA, do not buy this game. The performance issues make this game near unplayable. It's sad to have to say this. I will continue to play this game for review, but to anyone else, wait for a patch or get a refund. Not even YouTubers, but casual gamers were also frustrated, commenting about the performance and crashes, which probably left them with a sour taste overall. But what could WB and Rocksteady do for damage control? Warner Brothers took their fan feedback and their grievances and actually responded, announcing on their Steam page, "Dear Batman Arkham Knight PC owners, we want to apologize to those of you who are experiencing performance issues with Batman Arkham Knight on PC. We take these issues very seriously and have therefore decided to suspend future game sales of the PC version. We greatly value our customers and know that while there are a significant amount of players who are enjoying the game on PC, we want to do whatever we can to make the experience better for PC players overall. Thank you to those players who have already given valuable feedback. We are continuously monitoring all threads posted in the official Batman Arkham Knight community and Steam forums. If you purchase your copy of the game and are not satisfied with your experience, then we ask for your patience while these issues are resolved. If desired, you can request a refund at the Steam refund page or the retail location where you purchase the game. The Batman Arkham fans have continually supported the franchise to its current height of success, and we want to thank you for your patience as we work to deliver an updated version of Batman Arkham Knight on PC so that you can all enjoy the final chapter of the Batman Arkham series as it was meant to be played. I always felt that this apology was a little bit backhanded, as WB explains that they apologize to those who are experiencing performance issues as if it's only a select few. This was a PR disaster with many bashing the game, but also Warner Brothers rightly deserved backlash due to releasing a game that I'm sure they knew was broken, as they probably saw Iron Galaxy's development so far and they didn't even bother to delay the game out of respect to the fans. Even if it didn't launch right on schedule along with the consoles, I feel like fans would have been so much happier to see a final product rather than playing what felt like an early build of the game. Warner Brothers, Iron Galaxy and Rocksteady Studios were all in a pretty bad state, constantly being hammered by reviewers for their crashing, performance and texture issues for the PC port, with many YouTubers calling them out for the lack of care and a rushed port.
Worse than Watch Dogs, worse than Assassin's Creed Unity, literally one of the worst, if not the worst ports I have ever seen, which is very uncharacteristic for Rocksteady and Warner Brothers Entertainment.
What is going on?
Yeah.
What is this? What wacky world?
Arkham Knight may be the worst of the lot in that regard. Now, before I go on, I'd like to disclaim this and say, I am maybe on the luckiest edge of this. The problems that I've had are in no way as terrible as some of the problems that many other people have had. So if you watch this video and you say, oh, this seems to be running okay, bear a few things in mind. One, I got lucky. For the most part, this game is running alright, and I say alright. It is by no means running anywhere near as well as it should on hardware like this. And secondly, the hardware I'm running it on is ridiculous. and is not representative of the vast majority of PC gamers.
For some damage control, Rocksteady and Iron Galaxy got to work to resolve this mess. Warner Brothers on October 28th, 2015, released a pretty lengthy game update on Steam's community page. Greetings Batman Arkham fans, the PC version of Batman Arkham Knight is back up and available today. We are genuinely thankful to the Batman Arkham fans, the Steam Batman Arkham community, and the PC players who have patiently waited for this day. As a show of our appreciation to our fans in this process, we are pleased to announce 3 community-focused programs to help us commemorate the relaunch of the game. These 3 programs were free copies of all previous Batman Arkham games for anyone that bought Arkham Knight prior to November 16th. All players would get Community Challenge Pack DLC for free, which were basically remakes or remasters of older Arkham Challenge maps such as Wayne Manor from Arkham City and the Silent Night map from Arkham Asylum. Lastly, users would get free Arkham themed cosmetic items for Team Fortress 2 in collaboration with Steam. Warner Brothers were actually making the right steps by compensating loyal fans, and they also continued to work on the game to bring it to a more polished state. Although the team tried to make up for their mistake, it apparently was just not enough, as another statement released on Halloween 2015, with Warner Brothers announcing that anyone that bought Arkham Knight on Steam could have a refund regardless of when they purchased the game or how long they played it, as long as they refunded the game before the end of 2015. Rocksteady continued their work on the PC port for the rest of 2015, which focused on many major and minor bug fixes, focusing on the performance of the game, but also important issues such as your keyboard not being responsive if you use some Asian keyboard layouts, the Nightfall protocol not being able to be activated under certain conditions, and missing rain effects on certain suits that Batman could choose from. Although strange bugs, Arkham Knight was at a much better position than it was at launch, and the PC port was at least at a more playable state at the start of 2016, but not without some sacrifices. Due to the workload of attempting to fix Batman Arkham Knight's Windows PC port and the development of an Arkham VR game, Rocksteady had limited resources on what they could do and needed to cut down on certain projects. In February 2016, it was announced that Rocksteady would no longer have ports developed for the Linux or macOS versions of Arkham Knight, and anyone that was expecting those ports could request a refund on Steam. Although there's no official ports for Linux or Mac, luckily there is software nowadays that allow games that are made for Windows to be run on other operating systems. I wonder how much time was wasted developing these ports, and did the extended development on the Arkham Knight PC port take a toll on Arkham VR, which I always felt was underwhelming, but we probably need to take into account that Arkham VR was Rocksteady's first VR game, and VR was nowhere near the quality that is produced nowadays, such as Arkham Shadow on the MetaQuest 3, but it also could be the result of VR's tech being pretty early on when Arkham VR was first released for the PlayStation. A lot of this video was pretty doom and gloom, but there is a rainbow at the end of the storm. Soon after, the updates became less and less, as Arkham Knight was up to the standard that players expected at launch, with a few caveats, such as the game being capped at 90 FPS, which was a sin for PC players, but at least this can be fixed with a simple change in the config file. And an even bigger bonus for the PC port was the modding community that are continuously uploading new skins, keeping the player base engaged, wanting to put more hours into it, even to this day, over 10 years later from its release, from serious mods such as a skybox and weather replacer, which allows you to see Gotham at different times of the day that we haven't seen before, suits that would have been cool to have in the game officially, such as the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League suit, which is probably the best thing to come out of that game, to be honest. But there are also meme mods, which would never actually be in the game, such as a playable Lego Batman, which which legifies most of the characters, and even a mod where you can play as a chunky Christian Bale Batman named the Arkham Knight. The player count is still relatively healthy for a single player game over 10 years old, which shows that the game itself was solid. It was just the Disastrous launch which caused the stumble at the start. I believe that a lot of new players don't know that Arkham Knight launched at this state, as PC gaming wasn't as popular at the time, and with the game fully updated to the state it is now, which means the latest patches, I believe Arkham Knight is in a much better state now, and with the advances of technology, the game runs super smooth on most modern hardware. It's hard to know who's at fault for the failure of Arkham Knight's launch. Was it Iron Galaxy Studios, who wasn't up for the challenge? Maybe Rocksteady didn't give them enough of a helping hand? Or was it Warner Brothers, who rushed the development cycle and released it knowing it was in such a bad state? I believe most people have forgotten, but do you remember Arkham Knight's disastrous PC launch? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. That's all for now. My name is Fo, and Slán.